Hi, Paul Graham here from Peak Personal Training. So today we're going to go through a couple exercises that are actually going to help to flatten your abs. So a lot of people, when they're doing abdominal exercises, they go wrong. And they spend a lot of time doing stuff like crunches or doing stuff like leg lifts, okay? And these have a few different problems with them. They can be really hard in the back, for starters. And then the second thing is they're always working your, what we call kind of your six-pack abs, or the technical name, your rectus abdominis. So you're always using these six-pack abdominal muscles anytime you're doing any kind of crunch or sit-up motion, or anytime you're doing anything where you're swinging your legs up and you're bringing your legs up, you're mostly using those abdominal muscles. And a lot of people are neglecting a lot of their deeper abdominal muscles and their oblique muscles. Okay, so we're going to show you two exercises today that are going to help you to target those, and those muscles are really key with actually flattening out your stomach. A lot of people get distended stomachs or larger looking stomachs because these deep abdominal muscles are getting stretched out. So we want to try to restore these to being able to function again. So the first one we're going to do, we're going to get you to lie flat on your back. And what I want you to do is to take one hand, find your hip bone, and then I want you to reach in right where your hip bone kind of scoops in towards your stomach. I want you to reach in there with your fingers. I want you to take your other hand, and I want you to place it right in the middle of your stomach, around your belly button. Then what you're going to do, you're going to cough. And I want you to pay attention with what happens at each one of your hands. So just cough, okay? And we want a nice hard cough, okay? So what you should have felt is, your hand that's on the stomach, you should have felt your abdominal muscles contract in, okay? With your hand that's right in your hip bone, you should have been able to feel that contraction right underneath your fingers, okay? If you didn't feel that, just practice it again, do another one. So, and so you feel that stomach contract in, and you feel a little bit of a contraction underneath the fingers. So now what we're going to do, now that you have a feel for what we want from this exercise, we're actually going to try the exercise. So keep your hands in the exact same position and try to feel for the same contraction you got from coughing. So the first thing you do, take a really deep breath in, then a big breath out. Once all the air is out, what I want you to do is pull your belly button in towards your spine. And you should feel that contraction underneath your hands, so your stomach should get a little skinnier. And you want to feel the contraction under the hand that's on your hip bone. Okay, and you're just going to hold that contraction for about 10 seconds. And while you're doing this contraction, you don't want to see any movement through the rest of your body. The only place you want movement is through your stomach. You shouldn't see your back flatten out, you shouldn't see your hips move, just the stomach's coming in. And then relax that contraction. Just rest for a couple seconds and take a deep breath in again. Big breath out. Once all the air is out, pull your belly button in. Feel that contraction under your fingers. And again, make sure you have no movement anywhere else in your body. We just want it under the hand. Okay? So where you should be feeling the contraction on top of being underneath your finger on the hips, we want to feel it right across the entire stomach, right below your belly button. It's almost like you have a belt going right across your stomach. You should start to feel that contraction there. Okay? So a lot of people, when they're doing that exercise, they'll have problems being able to get the same amount of contraction they get when they cough. Okay? You should be able to get an equal contraction when you're doing that exercise as the force you feel when you cough. So if you're having problems with that, just start off just doing gentle contractions and practicing. So even if you're holding the contraction for 5 seconds, you can start with that. Eventually, I want you to build up to being able to do that for a full minute for the contraction. The other thing that's important to do is once you start to get that under control where you can get that contraction, I want you to actually contract all your pelvic floor muscles at the same time. So you might not know what your pelvic floor muscles are. So imagine if you had to go to the bathroom really, really bad, and you're running towards the washroom and you're trying to hold it in. Think about the muscles that you contract to hold that in if you had to go to the washroom. Okay, those are your pelvic floor muscles. So when you do that abdominal contraction and pull in, try to contract your pelvic floor muscles along with that and hold those both for the entire time period you're trying to hold the contraction. Okay, so that's exercise number 1. That's going to be working your really deep abdominal muscles, okay? So the next exercise is going to help us a little bit more with some of our oblique muscles, okay? So we're going to take a similar position. We're going to lie flat in our back, okay? I want you to slip one hand underneath your spine so you can feel your spine with your fingers, okay? Again, it should be right underneath the belly button. You're going to take your other hand, place it right on top of your stomach, right over top of the belly button, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to contract your abdominals in again. So we're doing very similar, we're pulling them in, but this time, along with it, what I want you to do is to push your spine down into your fingers as you pull in. Okay, so I'll relax that and you can watch again. You'll actually be able to see my body move. So as I contract these in, you see my spine flatten, right? So I want you just to hold that position. And you're going to try to keep constant pressure on your fingers that are underneath your back. So right now, you should feel your spine pushing your fingers against the ground. And you want to make sure that the hand on top of the stomach, those abs are staying in and that they're contracted. What's going to happen is you start to hold this, especially if you're not used to using these muscles, you might find they start to cramp up a little bit. So what you might see is start to get that contraction pushing out on your hand. So you see this contraction going out like that. So you see the difference between right here where I'm contracting out compared to if I'm contracting in. Okay, so you want to avoid that contraction out. As soon as you get that contraction out, you're using your rectus abdominis, your six-pack abs again. And we don't want to use those during this exercise. Okay? So again, we're just holding the abs in, push the spine flat, and you can start off trying to do 20, 30-second holds on this and build up to a minute and a half hold. Okay? Once you start getting good at this, and you can actually hold this contraction for a minute or a minute and a half, what you can start to do is do the exact same thing, hold this, make sure the spine doesn't move, and you're going to slowly straighten one leg out, sliding along the ground, go as far as you can, keeping the spine flat and the spine not moving, slide the leg back up to the starting position, then the other leg slowly slide down, go as far as you can. If you can get straight, that's great. Keeping the spine down. Okay? Most people, when they're doing that exercise, they go wrong because they're not really paying attention to if their spine's staying flat against their finger and not moving at all. Usually when I give someone this exercise and they're practicing it on their own and then they come back in and I see them and I get them to do the exercise, a lot of times their spine is moving. And if your spine's moving, you're losing most of the benefit of the exercise. So there's two exercises that can help you to actually start to restore some of the deeper muscles in your abdominal wall. Some of the ones that you're probably neglecting. They might take a little bit of practice to be able to feel the contraction where you want to. But keep practicing them 2-3 times a week and slowly build up, and those guys will get stronger. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to shoot me an email at info@peak-personaltraining.com or visit our website www.peak-personaltraining.com for lots of other free resources.